Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to take a look at recent sales for vintage mint on card items, and mostly Empire Strikes Back today. I've heard from a number of you that said, hey, I'm really collecting ESB card backs right now. And I personally think those are a really good value relative to where some other things are selling right now. I feel like ESB card backs really capture the height of vintage Kenner, in my opinion. And I just love the card backs with the ESB logo and, you know, all the different offer stickers that were available, the 45 back, the 47 back free 4-lum offer, the free Revenge of the Jedi like you see here, and then obviously the transition 21 back cards. So I just think that there's a lot of really good offers on those card backs, and I want to cover some of those sales that hit eBay here recently. We're going to start off with one that we talk about fairly regularly. And I always said that, hey, if you are looking for the debut card for Yoda, try to get one ungraded. And if you are into getting a high grade example or a graded example, I think that you can find a really nice one on eBay and grade it yourself. I would argue that this is a pretty good example of one. It's not perfect. It does have some sticker residue in the upper right-hand corner, some scratches on the card, one little ding on the left-hand side. But this debut Yoda 32B is in pretty good shape. The blister is in really nice shape there. You can see it's crystal clear and no dents on it. And this one was unpunched and no price sticker. Again, it did have some sticker residue, but that one sold for $360 in an auction. And I think it has an outside chance at an 80 grade. And we've seen 80 grades sell either on eBay or Hakes for $800 plus very regularly. And, you know, again, this one might get a 75 plus, whatever. But $360 is a pretty good value, I think. And, you know, you could probably find one in even better condition for $400 to $425, somewhere in that ballpark. Get it graded, gets the 80, and you save yourself some money. It's just, they're so prevalent on eBay. They're so numerous. They produce these in such massive numbers that I think that if you are willing to take a little bit of grading risk, this is a good example of one where you can buy it for a pretty good value and roll the dice on grading it. Here was I think this was a great deal. This was a really good deal. This was the ESB 21 back transition card for Princess Leia. It was graded AFA 75 with an archival case. And, you know, it mentions that the figure's not perfect. It's got some yellowing going on. The seller was kind enough to disclose all that. Card 75, blister 75, figure 80. And there's some slight discoloration on the right side of the cape. This was present when submitted to AFA for grading. So, you know, again, I like the fact that the seller was disclosing all this stuff. And again, we talked about this with Sean from Reserved Investments in my Q&A session. These white figures are going to continue to degrade, whether it's the Stormtrooper, Princess Leia, Hoth Stormtroopers, although I don't see that as much, Vinyl Cape Jawas, Tusken Raiders with the staining to the cape. So you're running a little bit of risk. It got to 75, though. It was a crystal clear blister, unpunched, no price sticker. Even with the yellowing to the cape, I would argue that this was a really good deal at $456. And you're kind of already pricing in the discoloration. Now, could it get worse? Yes, but I think that was a pretty good deal at $456 for a transition card, Princess Leia, AFA 75 archival case. I just thought that was a great deal. And, you know, in a higher grade, I would estimate this to go for double that price. So it's almost kind of priced in at this point. This one was a little surprise on the upper end. $430 for the 41A survival kit offer Hoth Rebel Soldier, clear blister. It wasn't perfect, you know, a little bit of card wave to it, things like that. But $430 was a little more than I was expecting on that one. And it was packed in all fairness, with the incorrect weapon. You know, I think it is. Didn't it come? He comes with the Bespin blaster, right? Not the DL-44. So this one was a weapon error. I don't think that the seller realized it when they listed it, but that might be why it got a little bit more money there. So next up was the R5D4 transition card 21 back. This is one I just picked up here recently. This one did have some edge wear to it, probably at best a 75. but that one sold for $700. Yeah, clear blister in really good shape. For reference, I think mine was an AFA 80, and I picked up mine on Hakes for $800 or $900. So this was probably about right for the condition issues that it presented. But that's a tough one to find on the transition card bag. That was a really nice one. Next up, IG88. This was the 32 back, and obviously his debut card is the 31 back A. This was the 32B, I believe. Here's the back of the card, 32B. And that one sold for $220. Yellow blister, though, and probably about 75 grade condition. But that's a pretty nice budget-friendly item. Here is the 32 back Boss with a clear blister. That one sold for $425 at an auction. Not a bad deal for about a 75 grade. Poor man's debut card for Boss. Here is the yellow blister 41 back Snaggletooth, unpunched, but again with some condition issues there. $223.50. Again, none of these were perfect, but I just thought that they were nice budget-friendly ESB options for those of you that don't necessarily have to have super high grade. Dengar on the 45 back is one that's tough to find. Very tough to find, this one. It might be slightly yellowing to the blister, but it was unpunched. It did, again, have some condition issues, but I've had a heck of a time finding this 45 back. Now, I've talked to a collector named Jeff who has one of the greatest vintage mint on card collections in the world. I mean, no joke. It's on par with Jeff Jacobs' collection. I mean, he's got everything. And he was telling me that the 48 back Revenge of the Jedi Dengar, he said he only knows of 4 or 5 examples that exist for the Dengar on the 48 back. Free Revenge of the Jedi. So that one's even tougher to find than the 45 back. I've seen some 45 backs for Dengar in the past, but I definitely have never seen a 48 back. That's very, very tough to find. So he was just telling me offline that good luck finding that one because it's not out there. Next up is the 45 back Leia. And this one was yellowed with the Toys R Us price sticker, sold for $259. Again, pretty decent deal on about a 75 grade yellowed blister. Here was a clear blister AT-AT driver. This was a 41 back, 41E, and that one sold in an auction for $275. I thought that was a pretty darn good deal for a clear blister, and probably has a good chance at an 80 grade. It's always tough to tell sometimes with these photos that are not exactly crystal clear, but very nice, clean blister on that one. Even if the card got the 75, I still think that the blister probably gets an 85, figure 85. So I think that's got a really good chance at an 80 grade. And 275 was a bargain on that one, I thought. Here's one that a Patreon supporter picked up. This was an AFA 80 48 back C Revenge of the Jedi. And this one was listed for $900, and the best offer accepted on that was $700. So I thought that was a pretty decent deal. Straight 80s on the sub score. Unpunched, no price sticker, too. Crystal clear blister. That was a stunner, and $700 took that one home. Very nice example there. This I thought was a great deal. I actually did have a snipe set up for this one, but I came to my senses. This one was the 48 back C Stormtrooper. I just love that Revenge of the Jedi with the Empire Strikes Back. I like free Revenge of the Jedi with Empire characters, like Darth Vader, things like that. And the figure score did get the 85, and I question whether that's an 85 for the figure score, but, whatever. You're nitpicking here. It's unpunched, no price sticker, crystal clear blister. There's the label there. I got the 80. I'm sorry. So I got the 80 for the figure score, blister 85, card 80 for an overall 80-plus archival case. That was really nice. And I'm ashamed to admit that I did have a snipe set up for quite a bit higher on this. I thought this was going to go a lot higher. So that just shows you that I know nothing about prices at all. I just summarize them for you guys, and you guys can decide. But I thought this was a really good deal at $561. I was willing to pay a lot higher on that one. And I took my snipe off because I've got some other irons in the fire, so to speak. And that one really, really was nice. So $561. Great deal for an AFA 80 plus 48 back C Stormtrooper. Toy Scout had some that were at auction. None of them were perfect, but this was the 41A Darth Vader. I don't know what's going on with the blister at the top there. I don't know if it just had an extra piece to the blister that accidentally got attached, or if that's a piece of tape. hard to tell there. I think it's an extra piece of blister, though. You can see right there that it's just like an extra piece of blister that was up top there, or it's broken off or something. I don't know. Yeah, so there you go. So you can see right there that it was just a blister issue where it didn't get cut properly. And we've talked about that in past videos where 41s, 45s, 48s, 47s, they all have kind of weird blister errors or just kind of sloppiness to the blister seal. This is a good example of that. But that one did sell for $330, which not a bad deal at all for a Darth Vader. Any Darth Vader clear blister in fairly decent shape is going to be pretty pricey. But that was unpunched with a price sticker for $330. That's about as cheap as I've ever seen for, at least recently, for a Darth Vader on an ESB card back. Dengar on a 41E, that one sold for $120, $177. It did have a lot of crunch to it, which is a big problem, obviously, with Dengar, given the oversized blister. So that's pretty fair, just given this is probably at best about a 70. 48C Zuckus, and it did have some kind of rubbing to the sticker there, the price sticker. I don't know how that affects the score, but the blister itself looked to be pretty decent there. And there's some close-ups of the blister. Blister looked really nice. You know, I think that maybe it's got some pull away going on in the lower right-hand corner. $226.99. Again, none of these were perfect. The 48C Snow Trooper had a big ding on the top of the blister, but that one sold for $305. Very, very affordable options, you know, if you can live with some of the defects on the card backs. The 47 back Stormtrooper, again, big condition issues with the blister, $256 on that one. These are the kind of things you could get a Case Shells sliding acrylic case and put it on your display stand. You know, not grade worthy. Case Shells at yahoo.com if you want to order some really nice displays from Tom Hogan, who is a friend of the channel. So next up, this was a beauty. This was a 48 back transition card free 9-num offer, and unfortunately did have some scuffing from where the seller or the original owner tried to remove the price sticker. So that really hurts the card score on that one. I think this is probably at best a 75 given that scuffing. But the blister was in really good shape, crystal clear, unpunched. That one sold for $393. Now, if they had left the price sticker intact, I bet this thing would have doubled. It would have sold for double that price, $800 plus. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I was shocked by this sales price. In all fairness, it was a buy it now. This was an AFA 85 yellowed blister, 77 back A Yoda, unpunched, no price sticker, but that sold for $1,500. That's a big, big number. Probably not a number I'd be willing to pay for a yellowed blister, 77A Yoda. I would argue that in an auction, this thing would not hit $1,500. That was a big, big number. Now, clear blister, I could see paying that. You know, that's very, very hard to find still with a clear blister. And then finally, we had a blue, I think maybe I've got two more. We've got a blue saber mint on card, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. This was unpunched with a little bit of sticker residue in the top right, but that one sold for $729. Pretty much any blue saber Luke still mint on card in fairly decent shape. This one did have a ding in the upper right-hand corner of the blister. Probably at best overall a 75. But again, it's the blue saber Luke, which is very tough to find nowadays, and those have really jumped in price a lot. So that one did sell in an auction for $729. And then finally, we had an AFA 75 Wicket, unpunched on the Power of the Force card. That one sold for $700, which again, I think is a little high. I probably wouldn't pay that personally for a 75, but $700 was the list price on it, and it did sell. It did sell. It was 75, 75, 85. And it was a nice example. I'm not trying to say it wasn't, but that just seems a little steep to me. I probably wouldn't pay more than probably, I don't know, $550, $600, somewhere in that ballpark. Anyway, that's all I really had for this mint on card look at recent sales on eBay. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.